the video. So the video starts here. But anyway, I'm just realizing, like, if the Blab people are listening, here's my list of grievances. One, you need a time when you're not on air. Like, it kind of sucks because we're getting ready and it's just me and I'm hitting buttons and I'm very aware
That's
that,
what
like,
keeps it real, man.
I'm on, and then like it's suddenly I go to the homepage and the 420 podcast is always on, and it's these people talking about weed, and it comes on right away. So it's like you show up and all of a sudden and I'm like, I'm just trying to start a Blab, and the last one broke, and so but anyway, like I'm sitting here trying to invite the guys, and I'm aware that they're just, I'm on the air and everybody's watching and shit, and so that's really annoying.
And the comments never stop too, which is distracting and hilarious, but and at the same time.
So there was no way to get back on. We're recording a half an hour early today. We just had kind of a schedule thing, and so we're winging it. And apologies to everyone who's getting this late and going, well, what the hell? Like, that sucks. I was waiting for you guys at 3 Eastern. So we are early. We're not going to do this all the time, but we didn't want to waste the time. So there we go. That's the deal. However, it does seem on the plus side with Blab, it does seem like people are really on it, because okay. So here's a plug for our social media. You probably, if you follow us at all, you may know our individual Twitter accounts. Like, Dave is the David W. Wright, Sean is Sean Platt, and I'm Johnny B. Truant on Twitter. But nobody pays any attention to the Sterling and Stone Twitter account just because. But that's the one that we set up Blab through. Like, that's the Blab admin account, basically. And so if I want to share a Blab, it goes through Sterling and Stone. So follow Sterling and Stone. But what I'm noticing is I shared it, and there's only like 100 people following that account, and people are like right in there. So it's great. So there is that.
Yeah, I actually have high hopes for Blab. I think it's just a matter of acclimation.
I'm glad you put it in terms of high hopes.
It's not there yet. I'm curious how the 420 podcast is like the default. Are they just always on, or are they the most popular podcast? I know. When I went on, they weren't even talking. They were just kind of like, I don't know what they were doing.
Were they smoking?
No, well, they weren't talking, but it was like really low key.
Today they were talking about, like, I think how to get medical cards.
It's just like two guys just hanging out.
I could do that podcast. You know how you get a medical card? You ask.
Don't you go to Dr. 420 or something like that?
Yeah, I went to Dr. 420. Allegedly. Well, no, it was legal in California. There's no allegedly there.
So anyway, today's show is going to be, hold on, why is this yelling at me? The thing's yelling at me like maybe the battery's going to die. I'm going to check that in a second. Today's show is going to be about what we call, here's another a piece of help, piece of feedback for Blab. The titles need to be able to be longer than they are. Like, it's kind of bullshit. So I couldn't enter the show topic because we want self-publishing podcast number 201, because when it uploads to YouTube, we want self-publishing. We want people to be able to find that. I don't just want to say SPP. And there's no room. Blab doesn't let you put more characters, despite the fact that YouTube does. And so the show topic is going to be how to be happy where you are in your writing career, rather than, having comparisonitis and worrying about where you think you should be. And I couldn't fit any variation of that in there. I tried how to be happy how to being happy, like nothing fit. So we need a little bit of that.
So Johnny's something cool today is how uncool he thinks Blab is.
Yeah. Now you guys go talk about shit while I go and see if I can get a battery to replace the one in my recorder. Okay. So who's got something cool?
I'll go. So the new episode of Sports Illustrated Swimsuit issue is out, and
what? Something
He's
cool.
taking it right to the. What are we 15 now? What happened?
Boobies! Boobies!
No, fuck you. They have the first ever plus size model on the cover.
It was me,
and I think that's really cool. I forget her name. I think it's Ashley Graham. That might be right, because it's similar to an Allison Graham, who is a character in Devil that we just finished. But I think her name is Ashley Graham, and she's a size 16, I think. And I just think that's awesome. Like, because, they usually have really unrealistic looking women on the cover, and that's the first time 52 years they've been doing the swimsuit issue, and this is the first time they've ever had a plus size model. And there's like a little bit of controversy around it, which is just stupid.
What size models do they normally have? Because women's sizing doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I understand a man's jeans 32 means 32 inches around the waist, but what is I don't even know, like, what's comparison wise.
Well, I'm not exactly sure. Like, so do you know who Cheryl Tiegs is?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was bitching about the Sports Illustrated cover and saying that Ashley Graham promotes like unhealthy habits, and like, fuck you, Cheryl Tiegs. Like, you size 0. You're by saying that that's the appropriate size. I think that's more destructive to women's image than a plus size model. That's stupid.
Well, I haven't looked, but I can't imagine she's like
my daughter Haley, who is 14 years old and is tiny. She's a tiny little stick girl. She's a size 0 right now. So like what the hell? That's not realistic. I know a lot of women, they see other women on Sports Illustrated covers and they feel bad. I think it's a nice step forward is all.
All right, I'll go now.
I had something on. Kate Upton wasn't exactly a stick. I don't know if she's plus size at all, but she wasn't a stick.
No, she's not a stick. She's not a stick. But this is a legitimate plus size model. She's a size 16. That's much
a funny story. My friend's daughter actually made a comment because her husband had, this is a few years ago, had gotten an issue of Sports Illustrated where Kate Upton was on the cover, and she was like on the ski slopes or something, and she had a jacket that was just barely covering her, but no shirt underneath. And my friend's daughter said, I think she forgot her shirt. Like, it was just so innocent, but it was funny.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my something cool.
All right, so mine is Chris Fox's. Chris Fox was on SPP. He was on episode 177. And by the way, it really sounds like I have my shit together, but that's just because Amy put this together for me. I wouldn't have known off the top of my head. Just credit where credit is due. Chris Fox was on our show on episode 177, and he's the author of the book 5,000 Words Per Hour, and he talked about dictation and his method, and it was really cool and really aligned with us. But he's doing a 21-day novel challenge where there's just a video each day, and it's chrisfoxwrites.com/challenge. And I just think it might be a really cool exercise for anybody struggling with the whole, write fast, get your internal critic out of the way, and all that stuff. So that's mine.
Cool.
Dave?
Yeah, I actually paused the recorder because I was like, did we get cut off again?
What the hell? I don't have anything cool, so let's just move along.
What is wrong with you? Okay. No,
I can't remember if I talked. Well, we just did this last night. I don't have 2 cool things that happen in 1 week, especially a week like this.
Oh, wait. Did you talk about the witch last night?
That's what I was trying to remember.
Oh! I know something that I need to mention, but I feel really fucked up today.
Last night, were you influenced by the 420 blab?
Maybe. I got a contact.
I think it sounds like you may have.
I may have. So the basically last night live. So we're recording this on Friday and Thursday last night at night. We recorded episode 200 of the Self Publishing Podcast. And I forgot to mention, I made myself a note that as of the live air date of episode 200, Iterate and Optimize is available. That's the sequel to Write, Publish, Repeat, and that you should definitely check that out. I think the link, I'd have to check it real quick, or you guys can if you're able to, is I think it's sterlingandstone.net/IO. I think. Could be wrong about that. But you can certainly search for Iterate and Optimize and check it out. It's temporarily discounted. It's $2.99.
That is the correct
for a little while, and then we'll raise it. Okay, we'll raise it, but that's probably just the Amazon one, am I right? So
no, that goes to a page that has links to everywhere.
Okay, there you go. So that's perfect. So yeah, it's everywhere, and it's $2.99 for launch, and we'll raise that up to $5.99, same as Write Publish Repeat later. And it's as hearty as Write Publish Repeat. It's a little narrower though. It's about improving, and it's about iterating and optimizing your business. So there's a lot of Sterling and Stone specific stuff in there, but it's sort of the next step. In a large publishing business, and you'll probably find a subset of that. That's
in many ways it really is a sequel to Write Publish Repeat. So Write Publish Repeat was kind of everything we were doing in our business 2 years ago when we wrote it, and this is everything we've done since in our business. And it really does, get in the weeds. So if you're interested in being a fly on the wall on kind of how we operate and what we do, basically, if you're listening to this right now, you're probably interested in the book.
And I'm just doing this on the fly because I need to remember to make sure we actually do this. But Write Publish Repeat may also be discounted to $2.99 if we actually remember to do it, sort of as a promotion for this. But not right now, not for live, but for anybody who joins it later. So if you haven't picked up Write Publish Repeat, but what are you doing listening to the podcast if you haven't picked up Write Publish Repeat? And then the last thing I'll mention before, because it sounded like Dave may have something cool, is at this point, I don't know how much point there is in continuing to mention the summit, but I will just mention again, probably just talking to local Austinites and Texans at this point, because it may be too late to book a flight. But there are still tickets available for that if you want to join us for the Smarter Artist Summit. It's smarterartistsummit.com. And the reason it's on my head is because the Facebook group.
Oh my God, that
really
Facebook group is awesome.
Yeah, I keep getting notifications of, people talking about, just everything. Like it's become this little self-publishing podcast community.
Yeah, audio
really,
was the big topic
engaged
this morning, which was cool. It starts out with one simple question, and then there's, I don't know, it's actual discussion. It's really good, and I think that it'll be like the Slack group after the colonist session where it just kind of hangs out forever. Yeah, I really think so. Yeah. It seems like it. It seems like the roots are already deep.
So you'll be able to join that. If you come as well, like that's just the group of people that are hanging out, and it's shaping up to be quite a group. And I'm really, really super excited to just get in on that, like to get down there and meet everybody that we've sort of been hearing from and that has been hearing from us. And
yeah, now that it's
good
like
stuff.
it's a month away, and I'm excited. Like I want it to be. I've got a little vacation, and then that, and March is going to be just amazeballs. And
but yeah, do remember Iterate and Optimize is on sale now. I'm hoping to be down there before the summit, so just fingers crossed on that. I still don't know, but hopefully move down there. All right, so that's it.
Dylan Ryder says he can only see part of me. All of me doesn't fit in the frame. That's the problem. So, yeah. My something cool is actually something I don't know. I don't really know how to talk about it without saying too much. I went and saw The Witch this week, which is a movie that's been getting a lot of buzz, horror movie, and I loved everything up until the end. And I won't spoil anything, but the end just I did not like at all. And it's one of those things where I think horror movies, a lot of times they'll go for like they'll go for something like that they think is ballsy. It's ballsy or something like that they don't think anybody would do, so they do it, but it's to the detriment of the movie. I don't know. I did not. It's one of those things where I felt like this was a phenomenal movie up until the last maybe 10%, and Sean and I had a discussion yesterday whether or not that actually ruins a movie or not if the ending just completely blows.
For me, it does. Like if an ending is, and I think that's instructive for anyone writing too. If your ending sucks, your book kind of sucks, right? And that's exactly my problem with King. Like I love Stephen King. I love the way he tells a story. I love the way he writes. But so many of his endings have left me wanting, and it kind of destroys the book for me a little. And right now, I'm reading 11/22/63, and I love it so far. I love it, love it, love it. And I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for him to pull the rug out from under me and leave me wanting. And you just always really pay attention to that. And when you're done with your ending, even go back to the beginning of your book and see if you can, echo some of that and create a richer experience for your reader.
Now, semi-related is like one of the things because not to spoil anything, but it was just too dark and grim, like the whole movie. Did
you hear that, everybody? That's like Indian spicy. We're talking about Dave Too Dark and Grim.
And it's one of those things where I think, one of the things I hate in the found footage movies is that they almost always kill everybody off. And I think that's such a cheap way to end it. It's like they couldn't think of something more clever. So they said, we'll just kill everyone and end the movie. And it sucks because to me, a horror movie is a cathartic experience. And, you sort of you need the safety of some ray of hope or somebody making it out alive. And I'm not saying everybody dies in The Witch. That's not the case. But it's just like a relentlessly grim movie. I also thought that about Silence of the Lambs. So you may think I'm stupid for that.
Oh, I love that.
No, that's a good one. But actually, Dave's really consistent about this. He in his writing, things can get as dark as, pitch black, but they can't end that way because that's, and we've gone back and forth a little bit about that on a few of our books where, Dave won't want to end them a little bit darker than I do, but not so dark as to that there's no hope whatsoever. And I remember this is the problem you had with The Mist, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. That it's dark, but where Stephen King's, that's actually a short story, I believe, from Skeleton Crew. Is that right?
Yeah, and it doesn't end the way that it does.
No, in the book,
it's like somebody said, "I'm just gonna be cruel. Yes, I'm gonna go out of my way to be a fuck."
That's the way I story. It ends on a ray of hope. It's very bleak. It's very dark. Awful stuff happens, and then there's this ray of hope. But Frank Darabont, when he made the movie, he's like, I'm just going to destroy people's souls. And so he made the bleak, dark movie that existed in the short story, but then took away all hope. And to me, that's a betrayal of your audience. It's like,
what other movies has Frank Darabont done?
Well, The Shawshank Redemption, which is amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. I just feel like, you know what I think it was? I think that, do you remember how Birdemic 2 hijacked other directors? Do you remember that? And it said that it was like direct. Do you remember that? It was something in IMDb, and it said that like Brad Pitt was associated with it.
Well, no, it tried to take what's her name from The Birds, and and Hitchcock.
No, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that. It was something about the actual official listing had Quentin Tarantino was a director. And so, it's like a Wikipedia thing where somebody was fucking with it. And I think Frank Darabont was in that. So that's
Garrett makes a point in the comments. That's I can't go back up to the comment. Basically, he said that's why he never cries like in something like Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead. It's because it's usually relentlessly grim, and it's less impactful than maybe like something like a superhero Star Wars story where things aren't necessarily so dark, but then when something bad does happen, you really feel it.
Right, and Rachel added to that, which I like. She says, exactly. It's like, oh, good for him. He's done with the hellish existence of being a character on this show, right?
Now, I will say, there are times that I like, even with The Witch, I may come around and change my mind on the movie. I'm not sure. Like, I have to give it some time. I think sometimes, the writers or director, they might want to put a message in there. They might want, their artistic vision might just be that, life is a horrible place. And
I can't imagine anyone with
behind.
Well, yeah, it's weird. Like for me, like the whole thing, I like there to be some ray of hope. Like maybe like in a slasher movie or something, 90% of the people are going to die, but as long as like one of the people I like make it out alive, then, it's not a horrible film. But if everybody's just dead at the end, it's sort of like, well, what was the point of even getting to know these people? They're all gone and I just wasted it, 2 hours of my life.
Yeah, it's a betrayal. And you have to know that when you're creating your story, reader expectation, you can toy with it for sure. And actually, I like that. If your readers are expecting you to zig and you zag, that's a good thing. But that's that's a diversion. It's not a betrayal. A betrayal is something different. And we've talked about romance expectations, for example. That's a really good example. You can't have your couple at the end not together, because then it's fundamentally not a romance. That betrays those expectations. And I think in a horror movie, everybody dies. it's just, it's just too dark.
To answer your question, Dave, I think a shitty ending does ruin a movie for me, at least mostly. I mean, I've complained about, I think that the ending of Devil's Advocate is
that's terrible.
And I even tried to watch the movie again. I was like, I know that I liked this movie so much up until that ending, but it doesn't change, unfortunately.
Now, is the opposite ever true? Can a mediocre movie with an amazing ending?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, there's a lot of movies that I thought were mediocre, and I didn't bail them because I had hope that the ending would redeem them. And sometimes they do, other times they don't.
Yeah, I'm watching
like a cool twist or something. You're like, oh, or like it just brings everything together in a way you didn't expect.
And a perfect ending, like the rare perfect ending, makes a movie a classic, right? We're watching Usual Suspects tonight, and I'm so excited to see how Haley responds to that ending. I'm just so excited.
She can stay awake.
Yeah, actually, so there's a little background there. This is our third time. Haley was really tired last week, and we tried it 2 different times, and she fell asleep while Ethan was at baseball. And so she says this morning, she goes, "I'm so awake tonight, Dad. I'm so awake. I will not fall asleep." So we're going to see because she would always fall asleep like at the best parts. She fell asleep right before Kevin Spacey gave his "Who is Kaiser Soze" little anecdote last time. I'm like, I can't believe you're sleeping right now. So that'll be cool.
Scott Moon says, I always have to watch until the end of a movie. I have turned off movies, so many movies, like 5-10 minutes in, where I just realized it's going to be an unending crap fest.
Yeah, I used to be really dogged, and I was the same way with books and movies. Like I had to read to the end, I had to see them to the end, and now I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. I'm all Murtaugh and Lethal Weapon. I'm just like, no, there's no way. I'm not going to put up with something that is mediocre just to see it through, because I'd rather just move to one of the other 3,000 movies I haven't yet seen.
All right. So do you want to move into the show topic? Do you want to introduce this, Sean? This was sort of your idea.
Before we do that, don't you think we should talk about something that we're all grateful for?
Well, I think if you're going to talk about gratitude in general, then I think that one thing that comes to mind for me is the legend of Santa Claus. That's what you were talking about, right? No. Okay, so just moving on. Then.
No.
Well, what are you grateful for then, Dave? If it isn't Santa, I mean, are you publicly coming out and saying you're anti-Santa?
No, I'm not anti-Santa at all. I'm very grateful for that bearded man who once ruined my childhood by not getting me the toys I wanted. Or should I say always not getting me the toys I wanted. He hated me. But thank you for bringing that up. Let's move on. Something I am grateful for, and that is the good folks at 99 Designs.
Well, who are they?
They are where you want to go if you have any creative design needs. You need a book cover, you need website work, maybe you want a nice promotional poster, or maybe you want a design to go on t-shirts for your readers. Pretty much anything you can think of, they've got designers standing by ready, and they just create the best stuff. You want a book that looks like a bestseller, you're going to go to 99designs.com/SPP and let the professionals handle it. Don't try to do it yourself unless you're good at it, but that's rarely the case with people that are writers. Most of them aren't also cover designers. And why make your book look like crap when it can look awesome? That's it. That's all.
Well, but I mean, what if you do that and it turns out terrible and you lose all of your money?
Well, yeah, Rachel Duncan just said, I like what they're saying, but I'm afraid I have too much to lose. But that is the beautiful thing. And another reason to be grateful for 99 Designs, because you have absolutely nothing to lose. If for some bizarre reason, all their designers stopped using ayahuasca at the same time or something, and they couldn't deliver a great cover for you, walk away. It's done. It's over.
Didn't Frank Darabont make a movie about 99 Designs where the ending was just so grim and everybody lost everything? Didn't he do that? I thought I could have sworn.
If he did, it was wrong. It was wrong on many, many levels because you have nothing to lose here, really. And
so you don't ever have to sacrifice a child.
No,
anything like that.
You never have to. I mean, I've never seen it in their terms, so I'm assuming you don't have to.
All right. Well, that's good then. So that would be 99designs.com/SPP. And if you use that link, I hear that you get the free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99, which gets you more designer time and attention. So 99designs.com/SPP.
Just as an aside before we get into the topic, if anybody wants to see Chelsea Handler doing ayahuasca, it's on the Netflix series Chelsea Does. The 4th episode is Chelsea Does Drugs, and she does ayahuasca.
Garrett just said it's important to note that you aren't prohibited from sacrificing a child either. 99 Designs, it's very open-minded in that way. Okay, the views and comments of Garrett Robinson do not reflect those of us or 99 Designs.
No, I think this is maybe one of the rare cases where we maybe need to make a point to draw a line and say that they want no part of any of that bullshit. They are an upstanding company, and we love them very much, and they're beautiful.
We're grateful for them.
Yes, we are. We're grateful for them.
It brings you stuff like this every week.
Them and Sam.
They have many plus-size models and do not promote unrealistic expectations.
Body image. Yeah.
Unless you want it. So, Sean, I'm sure they can find it if you want it.
Sean, do you want to describe the topic, because it was your idea last
time?
Time.
So I thought that this was I actually thought the guys were going to totally make fun of me about this and that it would never ever make the air.
No, we're waiting to do it now, publicly live.
To be fair, I wouldn't have made fun of you. I would have pretended to save face with Dave. I would have pretended to make fun of you and then secretly agreed.
Oh, all right. Well, we got the new and improved Dave. It was actually funny. It was after we had finished the 200th episode last night, and we were talking about, and I said, "Oh, I'll tell you guys later." And then a bunch of people in the comments were like, "No, damn it, now live. We want to see them make fun of you live." So I pitched it, and Dave said, "Well, the new Dave actually likes that." So it was the idea of doing a show just about
that was
gratitude.
Nighttime Dave. Daytime Dave thinks
so you're back to thinking it's shit. Like, that doesn't surprise me at all. But the idea of just doing a gratitude show, and because I think that, I don't know, it's just so much easier to find your flow and to be, really productive when you're grateful, when you have a lot of gratitude, and not just for who is in your life, which I think is really important, but where you are in your career, because we're all in different places, and it's really easy to compare yourself to what other people are doing or what other people are receiving. Or how other people are covering their mics, with grandma muffs. But if somebody else sells X number of books, or they have X number of reviews, or they've written X number of things, and it's just really easy to compare yourself. And instead, I think it's important to look inward and say, I am in this place, and this is the place where my work and my velocity has brought me. And just to be grateful for where you are, I think helps you to get to that next place.
I'm going to admit something here, and I know this will surprise you here. I'm not a very grateful person for a lot. Like, I always think about what I don't have or what I'm unable to do, and I cannot focus on the things I have very well. So it's one of those things that's very difficult for me.
Yeah, I think, I don't know why, but it seems pretty easy for me. Like, I feel really grateful for Cindy and Ethan and Haley. They're very, Cindy could not be a more supportive spouse, and my children are like, they think my job is awesome and they're excited by it. And so, like, I'm lucky to have that. Like, it's something we can talk about my work during dinner, and there's genuine interest there, and that's really cool. And I work with amazing people, and our team is growing, and we have amazing people surrounding us. And I just feel like there's a lot to be grateful for. And it helps me when things aren't quite going our way, because it's hard too, you guys, honestly, because I know it seems like a lot of stuff goes our way because we talk about it. We talk about how awesome things are all the time, but it
does not always go our way, just to be
clear.
In
a lot of ways, what we're building is really big, and it's hard. We have to work really hard. We all work, an
big
absurd
and hard.
amount. we work an absurd amount, and we're also, because we're doing so many things, we're not focused on any one thing, and that means that our progress is a lot slower overall than it would be if we were just hammering the same nail into the same board. And so it takes a tremendous amount of patience to do what we're doing, and we do have to look at other people and not be jealous that we're getting lapped, because a lot of it's true, we do this show every week, and we give a lot of I think very solid advice that's kind of from our experience in the trenches, and then we get emails that say, I followed your advice and I'm doing this, and it's something substantially better than what we're doing ourselves. And we want to applaud those people because that's really awesome. But on the other hand, it's like, well, fuck, because we worked really, really hard last week and that didn't happen for us. Or we'll get people who will send us, oh, look, I thank you guys so much. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have put out my first book. And I got my first BookBub ad next week. We're like, well, we've been trying to get a BookBub ad for 6 months. So, we have to be very patient. And I think it's important that when we're trying to be patient, to also take a step back and be grateful for how far we've come and all the things that we've done in the last 4 years together.
Where do you think is the practical intersection for the average writer? Because I think that it's basically what Sean said, but it's on whatever level you are on. So, this sounds like something that I would say to my son, because we're actually right now, as I've mentioned a few times, we're looking we're moving. We're going to be moving shortly. And there are times when he's understandably nervous because, I remember being a kid in school and the idea of moving was like a kid had a terminal illness. When you're, so-and-so's moving.
Dead man
like
walking!
Saying he's gonna die. Right. And that was just a big thing. And he's like, well, there's these things where, I'm going to miss out on this and I'm going to miss out on this and the things that are here. And I said, but you're only noticing the things that are the negatives, and you aren't aware of the things that are going to be positives when we move, of which I feel there are going to be many more, because we're just not wired that way. And I think that that's the way we can be with publishing. And then you can start to say, well, this sucks. I've been working at this forever and I made $200 this month, when in fact you should be saying, geez, were you around when you couldn't self-publish at all?
Right.
Or it had to be a vanity publication where you had to order boxes of books.
You had to have 4,000 of them stacked in crates, right?
Or, I did the query thing where you tried to, get literary agents interested in your work, and then they'd reject you over and over again. And you had to, even if you didn't want to write short stories, you had to write some because that was the only way to even, get some credits. And even the process of getting anything published at all, you were begging for it. Will you please give me some shitty copies of your magazine that nobody reads if I can publish for you for free? It's important that we notice what we do.
And I think part of my problem is simply my anxiety over things. Like I don't like uncertainties. I don't like things that are out of my control. And so much of it is, and it's very difficult for somebody like me with OCD and anxiety and control issues to just have to be subject to the tide as it turns. And it's just one of those things that I struggle to deal with. But there was a time when I was doing comics where I didn't make a lot of money at it, but I had a nice sized following. I mean, I wasn't like, PvP, like probably 100,000 or whatever readers a day, but I had more readers than I ever thought I would. And that alone was something that it made me, it made me feel good about connecting with people and stuff. And because when we were talking about this topic before the show, one of the things I said is, well, how does somebody that's not really selling a lot of books, it has to work a job they might not like, how do they feel grateful for what they have? And I think part of it is, what you were saying before. It's like we couldn't have done this just 6-7 years ago. We had no way to reach an audience, and that is something to focus on, the people that you are reaching.
Yeah, I think I've said before that, as much as I love writing, I really love what I do. I feel, I'm excited when I wake up every day. But what the hell? I wouldn't have done this 100 years ago. You know, I admire Mark Twain, but if I lived in his time, I wouldn't have been a writer. It was too difficult, right? You know, I would have had to do everything manually. The edits would have been painful. You know, getting a book out would have taken a year. And so like we live in a time where we have amazing tools. We all have, you know, laptops or, you know, whatever we create on. And, you know, I can work with, you know, Dave in Florida and, you know, Johnny in Ohio, not much longer, but right now, Johnny in Ohio, you know, Garrett in LA. And, you know, we have a team everywhere. I mean, Amy's here now, but that's recent. And that's magical. And then when we're finished with this thing that we created, we can magically, you know, supersede the old process and you know, put it up on all the booksellers and then communicate directly with our audience. Like that's all really amazing. And I think it's so easy in our modern world where, you know, we're like, okay, here's a good example. Not to pick on Johnny at all, but like he's bitching about his internet speed, right? And it is annoying. It is slow. And, you know, it does slow everything down. But whatever, like 5 megabytes per second, that's way more than 10 years ago, right? The fact that we even have the internet and we can do all of this is amazing. And it's very easy to lose sight of that. And I think the more time that we can take a few moments to really appreciate what we have, it's almost like just the emotional fitness of taking care of yourself and taking care of your brain helps you to produce more. I think that really looking at what you have and feeling good about what you have and feeling positive, because gratitude is a positive emotion and you're feeding yourself in a positive way. And if you take the time to feel, you know, glad and happy and grateful for the, you know, let's say like in Dave's example, you have a full-time job and you hate your job and you really want to write and you're barely getting any time. You have two approaches there. You can either feel really bad about, you know, not having any time. Damn it, I only get 20 minutes a day where I can write. Or you can feel grateful for that 20 minutes and really exercise it when you have it. And just rhetorically, what do you think? Do you think you're going to get more out of that 20 minutes if you're really grateful for it? Or if you resent that you only have 20 minutes?
Yeah, the reason this actually, you know what? I'm going to say the reason this matters, so remember that, because I want to come back to this. So I'm going to derail us for just a quick second, and inexcusably, and then I'll bring us back because I'm derailing us. But I just want to offer a random high five. I should have said this for my something cool. Erin Malos, who did our Unicorn Western cover, the original one, is doing a Kickstarter, and it's like, it's so close to funding. Like she's doing this, like she's part of this Western anthology graphic novel project, and just high five, Erin. Go throw money at that. Go search for Melos, Mehlos on Kickstarter if you're live. Anyway, okay, so just bringing it back, I just wanted to offer that. Is the reason that this matters is basically, I mean, Sean alluded to it, but more pointedly, if you go into your if you go into your whatever you have, you go into your writing bitching. If you're like, you know, I don't get the breaks, I don't get the BookBub ads or the promotion, I don't get placement on the, you know, I don't get merchandising on the booksellers, I'm not as good as this person over here, something like that. You are handicapping yourself, and it's kind of like if you are, it's the idea of when you're optimistic, your eyes are open. You know, like, are you more likely to notice opportunities if you're looking for opportunities, or are you more likely to notice opportunities if you think that there are no opportunities in the world at all? And that's what this is about, is you are going to get more out of the writing that you can do and the promotion that you can get. And if you are grateful for it. And by the way, when you run into other people, nobody likes people who bitch. And so if you have an opportunity to work with somebody, or you're talking to a rep, say, and you come across as bitchy and complaining and ungrateful, forget it. Like, nobody's going to want to work with you, because who wants to work with that person?
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
But you do realize you're working with me, though.
Yeah, but you're curmudgeonly, and we're used to it, and you know it's fine. But but it is true. It's, you know what? Have you guys read the book Mindset?
No.
So it's a book I really like. I'd recommend it to anybody. It kind of explores the difference between fixed and growth mindsets. And so if you have a fixed mindset, you pretty much, things are the way they are and they can't change, and just blah, rah, 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 rah.
I don't know anyone like that.
Right. Dave's very fixed mindset. And if you have a growth mindset, you believe that, things it doesn't matter. Like wherever you are today is irrelevant to where you can be tomorrow. And I think the world is a healthier place if we all have growth mindsets like that. That's good. So they take they compare two athletes, John McEnroe and Michael Jordan. And John McEnroe is just kind of a fucker, I guess. And, every time he lost, he would throw tantrums and he would practice and he would yell and scream. And basically he hit a plateau and then he could never go farther than that. He can never get better. He can never improve his game. And it's because he was placing his value as a person and as an athlete on how well he performed at any given time. Where someone like Michael Jordan, who is arguably one of the best athletes to ever live, never stopped practicing. He never stopped, when they said, well, you've won this many games. And he'd say, yeah, but you know how many I've lost? It's, you got to practice, you got to work. You're always, it was about the work for him. And he was always grateful for his place among his team. He was always grateful for the time that he could practice. And I think that made him so exceptional. He wasn't fixed. And I think that gratitude is like that. If you can acknowledge what you have instead of what you don't, it just really optimizes your brain for doing a better job.
I'm curious, Sean, how many of these self-help sorts of books do you read in effort to try to fix me?
Oh, none. Never. But
it's like going to the hardware store.
But having said that, I do think about you when I read them.
What else do you think about, Dave, while you're doing?
Crying.
Me too.
But I do think that, and you don't want to get mired in reading self-help stuff either. That's silly. It's just, it's a matter of reflecting. I think if you take the time to just kind of reflect on where you are, and I think that when people do that, their natural tendency a lot of times, especially let's face it, in modern society, we are pretty spoiled. We're very entitled. We want fast internet. We want fast food.
Yeah, Johnny, you and your 5.
We want all of our, we want all of our shows to stream immediately so we can binge watch them, and
I get so angry when my internet says loading and because I can't stream properly or something isn't available streaming.
Yeah, we're very spoiled. So it makes sense. But we can't lose sight of how fortunate we all are, and that's in life. And I think having the emotional fitness to have a really healthy home life is good too. So this isn't just a matter of being grateful for your writing career and where you are in your craft, but your home life too. Be grateful for the things that are good, and I think they tend to go better. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're in a legitimately bad situation, you shouldn't acknowledge that. You should Pollyanna it and say, well, I'm grateful he hits me once a month. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I think that you can look at things for what they are instead of what you wish they are sometimes.
Yeah, this isn't easy. I will just say, I've mentioned moving a few times, and this is a difficult time right now because it's very uncertain. But leading up to this, this is great compared to where I was 6 months ago, where it was I knew I wanted to move. I knew I needed to move sort of for the company's best interest. And, I just couldn't. There was no way that I could see that was actually going to happen. And there were plenty of times when I was not very positive. It's I was not thank goodness I get to write every day. It was more why the fuck can't something blow up so that I can move? And there's a balancing act where I think that you just sort of have to acknowledge that you're human and things are going to get you, legitimate and not as legitimate. And you kind of have to do your best. I know that right there sounds seriously fucking Pollyanna to say just do your best, but that's kind of the reality of it.
But and it's not always easy. Right now, Johnny, how hard is it to feel grateful that you're moving versus frustrated that you're having to wait on answers?
Well, actually, right now I do feel quite grateful that I'm moving, but it was hard. There have definitely been times where it was hard to find the gratefulness. It was hard to say, well, what could I be excited about? Because you just said say nothing. I'm almost never that bad, but I know that plenty of people do. And like you think, well, should I give up writing because shit's going bad? And well, I don't know, maybe, but it's certainly not something you should just leap to because you're having a bad day.
It's just so easy to focus on the negative. So like reviews are another example. You can get, 20 5-star reviews in a row, and then you get one 1-star review, and it's like that can ruin your day. Like just, I got this 1-star review, but how grateful did you feel for each one of those 5-star reviews? Right? It wasn't equal. You don't feel equally grateful for a 5-star as you do, pissed about a 1-star. It's not proportional. And so it's when you get that 1-star review, instead of being really angry about it, take a moment to step back and think, you know what? I have a lot of 5-star reviews. People like my work. And otherwise, you do fall into that rut of being controlled by a fixed mindset.
Or if you only have 1 stars and you don't have a lot of 5 stars, take a more honest look at your work. Maybe you're not ready to write yet. Maybe you should focus on getting better rather than reacting to a bad review.
I agree.
Like okay, early on when I first did comics, my drawing was absolutely horrible. And I got ripped in a place where I'd put it. I posted my comics and I got ripped, and I was just like, what the hell? Fortunately, I was I was kind of oblivious in a way, but I wasn't so oblivious that I didn't try to get better. So I had enough in me to kind of get beyond what they said. Which is rare for me back then. But at the same time, I realized that, some of what they said was right, and I just had to get better. And I focused on that and did it. And it's one of those things that sometimes you can be grateful for negative things.
Yeah. And it does sound really Pollyanna to say, oh, if you get a bunch of bad reviews, and you don't have any good reviews, then, say, I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn to be better. But kind of, yeah, like you have to go to school. This is an education for all of us, and we're learning how to craft better stories and relate to our readers. And it's not easy. Like just because there are no gatekeepers doesn't mean it's easy or you don't have to constantly improve. This is about getting up every day and doing the work. And if you need to be grateful that reviewers told you you're not good enough, then you need to take the time to validate that, maybe they're right. Maybe I do need to work harder on crafting my stories.
Yeah. I mean, you got to remember too, that the human brain is sort of wired to look at what's not right. That's what kept us from being eaten by tigers. Right. So, that's the monkey brain, the amygdala, the fear response, where you notice the things that are wrong. And in modern world, it could be that you notice the 1 star is disproportionate to the 5 stars, even if there are 10 times as many 5 stars. But you have to make sure that it doesn't distort reality, because it will affect how you perform. So in other words, this is a case where not being grateful is letting your reality distort such that you are going to perform poorly. And don't do that. Like that's stupid.
So how, just practically speaking, and I'll actually point this to Dave because I think Dave has a harder time with this naturally, but I think Dave, you want to be more grateful, right? So how do you do that? If you're working on the Dave 2.0 lately, right? And you're reading books by I don't know who was it, the Zen master, and trying to be more grateful. How do you do that? How do you be more conscious about that if you're not naturally?
Before Dave answers that, I'd just like to say, go watch the worst show ever, The Tao of Dave, and see how Dave is handling the Tao Te Ching.
Before I answer that, some people are saying they can't see all of our windows in the thing. You might want to resize your screen. It seems to be, I don't know, weird design that sometimes your windows get cut off. As far as how to be grateful, at the moment, I'm just trying to focus on the things that I do have that, I mean, everything could always be worse. And I could think of 20 ways they could be worse. But,
that part's easy for him.
But when I say 20, I mean 200. But I think about, I actually think of you a lot, Sean, because you are like very positive in pointing out of things that, I would otherwise miss. And I'm grateful for that, even if I bust your balls all the time. But I try to focus on the things I do have and the little improvements that I make along the way. Like, I think my writing is better than it was, and I think I'm healthier than I was. I have more endurance. Like, it's still, sometimes it hurts, when I'm walking and my back is hurting or whatever, but I'm grateful, because when I first started walking, everything hurt. So like, I see the improvements. They're small, and I try to focus on them. And I think I'm doing better than I have been in a long time. So that in itself is an improvement.
And having community and support helps as well. The three of us have each other, but additionally, anybody. So I mentioned the Facebook group for the Smarter Artist Summit. Like that's a group that's going to support itself or support each other. You don't have to be in a formal working relationship. So, we joke about Dave being the negative one, and Dave just said that, Sean helps him be more positive. But Sean and I are both generally positive, and we trade off, where I'm having a bad day and Sean says, "Oh yeah, but you're not remembering this stuff." And then it'll be the other way around, where suddenly Sean's bitching about something and I'm saying, "Yeah, but it's going to be awesome in this way." And you just sort of have each other's backs on stuff like that.
Yeah, community is huge. If you can find just a couple of people who kind of really understand you and understand where you're coming from. Now, ideally, everybody has a partner for that. Somebody. I can have the best day or the worst day, and I get to share that with Cindy, and to a lesser extent with with my children, and that's amazing. And I have partners that I can share with, and that really does lubricate the whole process. And if you don't have somebody in your life like that, you really do need to find them, because it makes the good times better and the bad times more manageable.
Kevin Tumlinson says, on the note of community, I just want to say that I'm incredibly grateful to you guys for building a community that makes it so much easier to find support and friendship and help in this business. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, our pleasure. That's why we're here. And all three of us, I think I can say this for all three of us, we're really grateful to everybody who's listening to this, because you've really helped us to kind of, it's a relationship. We're here, and our job is to show up every Friday and be really honest about what is and isn't working in the business. And, because we have that accountability to you, it means that we get to learn stuff because we're talking about it out loud. And when you teach and when you articulate, you learn yourself. It kind of cements it in your head. And I think that we are better at what we do because we have you guys to share it with.
Dave, it almost looks like Garrett's hanging out in your office down there. Just like, why is Garrett over? I mean, I see some other people in there too, but it was all Garrett all the time for a little while there.
Garrett is telling people that I love the high fives.
Yeah, this is actually going to be kind of depressing. So if you're if you never watch the show live or haven't seen a blab, there's a high five feature that is a little distracting. I'll admit it. And you can just basically say like, hey, high five. And currently I have 140 or so. Sean has 158 and Dave has 1195. So if anybody wonders which was the most popular.
Okay, you want to talk about that? I was looking, if you click on each of our names over these windows, it tells how many subscribers we have on here. Johnny has 114. Sean, subscribers on Blab. Sean has 81. And Dave, he has 77. Least subscribed to on here.
Yeah, so but the account is Sterling and Stone.
Followers, not subscribers.
Right, whatever. So they're subscribed to watch. That's just, they're not subscribed to me. They're subscribed to self-publishing.
I'm the third least popular.
Give Dave some more high fives, guys. He's not feeling grateful enough yet. Well, everybody all at once.
He needs to work on his gratitude. Yeah. He's thinking about how many he doesn't have instead of how many he does.
Right. So concluding remarks on gratitude and all that good stuff.
Well, I love Jamie Crumpton says, I didn't understand the value of community for writing until I started listening to you guys. And thank you. But yeah, that is true that, if you have a little community, and it could be as much as one other person, that you can share with, it makes a huge difference.
Kate Morgan,
and it makes it easier to be grateful.
Kate Morgan says, quick, everyone stalk Dave, and M. Gian says, stalker mode on.
Oh, I was actually
He
looking
forgot
at
the head.
Josh Hayes, who says, now my palms all chafed.
Wow.
Oh, those high fives aren't high fives. Those are never mind.
Yeah. All right. So I guess thanks. Well, not I guess. Definitively, thank you for listening to the Self-Publishing Podcast. If you are a Worst Show Ever viewer, then give us a few minutes and we'll be
very special. Worst
we'll
show ever.
there. Yeah, I hear it's going to be very special.
I'm ready for this. Yeah,
but
I got this. This will be my second time around with this story.
Just a reminder to anybody who wants to watch the show live, that just if you want to participate and stuff, it's at least for the foreseeable future, blab.im /Sterling_Stone. And you can see like the upcoming shows. This is a scheduled tab, I think, and you can see the archive shows and all that shit. Just a reminder, Iterate and Optimize is out as of the audio date of this. It's March 8th, I believe, is the release date. And so pick up Iterate and Optimize. It's half price for a little while. And then lastly, if you haven't gotten your Smarter Artist Summit ticket yet and you want one and you can still get there, smarterartistsummit.com. So thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.